climb, move up. And I need to be able to walk around as well. But Jodie needs to be able to walk down as well with the...
Shit!
आ जाओ ये देख कितना बड़ा है एनाकोंडा
ठीक है तो नो मैं तुम जूते फाड़ दो मेरे इट्स ओके मुझे बहुत डर लग रहा है इससे
Right, if we can just make a pathway, we'll get this guy out of the way. There we go. Right, go freeze up through this
we fall down
Sophie.
Sorry?
Alright, well we did kind of all see any Japanese. Okay. So if I can have you guys just back from the glass, because I'm going to be opening this enclosure, so I need you guys to be on this side. Alright, beautiful, thanks. Alright, we're kind of organised. So, this is Boa Constrictor and this is Jodie. And she's going to bring him along for you guys to have a paddock. He's very friendly, he's never bitten anyone before. And he's not going to today, so you can pat him nice and gently. Don't poke him around the face though, no animal likes to be poked around the face. He's not going to bite you if you do. But he will stress out. When he stresses out, he tightens his coils around Jodie's neck. So we don't want to do that today. You can take a photo, that's fine. The flash won't bother him at all. Just don't try and move him around for a photo. If you want him moved, just ask Jo, she'll do the best she can. Not always easy though. He's about 8 kilograms and he has a mind of his own. He's pure muscle, so we try the best we can. So he is a boa constrictor. He's from South America. Australia doesn't have boas. We have pythons. The difference between boas and pythons is that pythons lay eggs and boas have live young. In Australia, just try not to crowd around him. Yeah, that's all right. Sorry about that. Yeah, so he's a South American state. We don't have boas in Australia. Same as python, so these guys are non-venomous. He's got 3 rows of teeth, about 100 teeth in each row, so he's got around about 300 teeth in that mouth, very long, sharp teeth. No venom at all. What he does is grabs hold of his prey, grabs his body all the way around it, waits till it stops breathing, and then he swallows whole. So this guy can get to about 3 metres long. He's not that big now, he's only about 1.5 metres. In here, this is the longest snake in the world, the reticulated python. Our little one's about 5.4 metres long. They can get to 10 metres, which is the length of this brown board here, and that's 33 foot long. That's big enough to eat something like an orangutan or a deer.
इतना बड़ा
So very big.
10 मीटर
Now in Australia, we're lucky enough to have most of the most deadly snakes in the world. We have 9 of the top 10 most toxic snakes in terms of venom toxicity. So some of you might recognise some of the snakes we have here, like tiger snakes, red-bellied black snakes. Up north, taipans, they're quite common as well. And then there's also common brown snakes. All of them very, very dangerous snakes. So who knows what to do if you see a snake in the wild? Any of you kids? Any ideas? What's the best thing to do? Run away. That's close, that's close. Best thing to do, if you see a snake in the wild, some people just say to stay still. But you can imagine you surprise the snake, you're walking along, there's a snake, it's going to get the fright of its life because the person's standing over it. So if you stay still, what they often do is they'll put themselves up in an S position, a little bit like on this photo here, like here and here and here. And they're defence posture anyway, so if you're staying still, he's going to think, oh, my defence isn't working, then he might have to come forward and hit. So best thing to do is to walk in the opposite direction slowly. Don't make any sudden movements like running. Sudden movements frighten him more. If you're walking the other way, he'll see where you're going, you turn around and go in the opposite direction. And now who knows what to do if you get bitten by a snake? Light it up. Pray to God. All very good options. Tie it up. Now, do you mean like a tourniquet?
Oh my Lord.
Then there's a couple of things that used to be taught. If you're bitten by a snake, it used to be taught that you'd put a tourniquet around the limb. It's discovered that doesn't work. when a snake bites you, the venom doesn't go into the bloodstream, it goes into the muscle tissue, and there's lymph fluid in the muscle tissue. So when you put a tourniquet on, that'll stop the blood from flowing to the limb, but the venom can still travel through the muscle. Right, so the cut and suck method used to get taught in Boy Scouts apparently 20, 30 years ago. Snake venom has what's called a blotting factor, so it's like in blotting paper. As soon as it's in, it spreads out in the muscle tissue. So by cutting the wound and trying to suck the venom out, it does absolutely nothing. It'd be like trying to suck ink out of blotting paper. It doesn't work at all. So, as this gentleman says, the best thing to do is to use one of these ordinary everyday stretchy bandages. So we've got a volunteer here. Anyone? All right, yep, you can come up. So what you do, let's just pretend that, what's your name? Teresa has been bitten on the arm. Now it's the same whatever limb you've been bitten on. Now you've been bitten on the arm. Jones, can we just have Pablo here? We need to get you to come up this way. And so we'll roll up your sleeve and we'll just get him to bite you about here. Huh? No, only kidding. Only kidding. No. So what you do, now it doesn't matter if Teresa's been bitten here or here. It doesn't matter. What we'll do, normally we'd get her to take the jumper off just because it's in the way. But you start at the fingertips and you do it about as tight as you would for a sprained muscle. So not too tight that it hurts, you don't want it to be uncomfortable. You want to make sure that there's blood flowing through to the fingertips. Try not to get creases in it, I'm doing it a little bit messy. But you go all the way up. If for some strange reason you can't remove the clothing, I can't think of a situation where you couldn't. If you can't, then just go over the top of it. Best to cut it off though, or to remove it. And you go all the way up as far as you can, and all the way back down. And splint it as well, so if you've got a stick or anything lying around. And that's just to stop the muscle movement. Having that bandage there will stop all the muscle contractions. The venom can't travel through the lymph fluid because every time the muscle contracts, the lymph fluid flows through the system. And the venom will stay at the bite site. And once you've got that bandage on, that'll keep the venom long enough for you to get to a hospital. And all the major hospitals, thank you very much, have what's called a snake venom detection kit. So it doesn't matter what you've been bitten by. You don't need to worry about identifying it. You don't need to try and catch it, kill it. Don't ever try and take a snake to hospital because they'll tell you to leave it outside. That's not a good idea at all. You can just leave that snake where it is and get to a hospital. Everyone knows the number to call, 000. That's right. Don't try and drive yourself because, you know, you'll be a little bit panicky. You might have a car accident, not a good idea. There's also going to be complications, so it's best to get an ambulance. And once you're there, what they'll do is swab the bite site, just get a little swab wherever you've been bitten. For some reason you wash that bite site, then they can just do a little bit of a blood sample or even a urine sample. They'll put it through this little kit. Within 30 minutes it'll come out with what kind of antivenom you need. So in Australia, whatever you've been bitten by, it'll come out as one of 5 antivenom categories: black snake, brown snake, tiger snake, taipan, and death adder. So around here, if you're bitten by a copperhead, they'll swab it, put it through this little test. It'll come out as tiger snake. You haven't been bitten by a tiger snake, the tiger snake antivenom will work for copperheads. So we're very lucky here in Australia. We're the only country that has the snake detection kit. So detection kit. So we have around about 3,000 bites every year from deadly snakes. We've only got 3 to 4 deaths, and that's because we have, number one, we've got very good medical systems here, and also the best anti-venom production in the world. The anti-venom that we produce is top quality. This guy here, this is the most venomous snake in the world, found in Western Queensland. There's never been a death from this guy. There's been very few bites, but because we have such good antivenoms, never caused any deaths. Whereas something like an Indian cobra can kill between 13 and 20,000 people every year. Even though their venom's not in the top 10, the anti-venom is just poorly made. Medical facilities aren't as good, and the snakes are quite common. So, most toxic, not the most dangerous snake. So, has anyone got any questions about what to do if you're bitten by a snake? You'll feel like you know what to do? Yep. All right. Well, what I'm going to do here is go to, this is the 4th most toxic snake in the world, excuse me, the tiger snake, very common in Australia. And I'm going to see if he's hungry, which he should be, so I'll just get everyone to move back a little bit.
Mice.
So I've got some mice here. So we never feed out live food. It's illegal to feed out live mammals. The only thing you can feed out live is insects and fish.